Gene Littler died the most tragic death in golf history, and the world lied about this man by forgetting him completely. When the World Golf Hall of Famer passed away on February 15, 2019, at age 88, barely anyone noticed. The news didn't break until the next day. For a man who survived cancer and won again at 45, this silence felt wrong. Here was someone who should have been celebrated as one of golf's greatest comeback stories. Gene Littler was born in San Diego, California, on July 23, 1930. He learned golf at La Jolla Country Club in his hometown. This would become the foundation for one of the most beautiful swings in golf history. Even while serving in the Navy starting in 1951, his talent shined bright. Military service couldn't stop his golf dreams. In 1953, still an amateur and still serving his country, Littler won the U.S. Amateur in Oklahoma City. This was just the beginning. The next year, he claimed his first tour title at the San Diego Open while still an amateur. Winning on his home course made it even more special. He turned professional in 1954, right after that emotional San Diego Open victory. The transition from amateur to professional was seamless for Gene. His first pro victory came at the 1955 Los Angeles Open. That year, he won 3 more titles, showing he belonged with the best players in the world. Over his career, he would win 29 PGA Tour events. That puts him 19th all-time in tour wins, a remarkable achievement that deserves more recognition. His best year was 1959, when he captured 5 wins and finished second on the money list. He was becoming a consistent force on tour. What made Gene special was his swing. Everyone called it fluid, rhythmic, and perfect. That's why they nicknamed him Gene the Machine. This wasn't just a catchy name. It described his methodical approach to golf. Gene Sarazen said Littler's swing was like Sam Snead, only better. Coming from a legend like Sarazen, this was the ultimate compliment. Mickey Wright, when asked about the best swing she ever saw, quickly added Littler's name alongside Ben Hogan's. These weren't casual observations. They came from players who knew greatness. Littler said the secret was working on his tempo. He spent countless hours perfecting this rhythm. The nickname wasn't just about his technique. It showed his consistent, elegant style that looked effortless. Watching him swing was like watching poetry in motion. The peak of his career came at the 1961 U.S. Open at Oakland Hills. This tournament would define his legacy forever. He was 3 shots behind going into the final round. Most players would have cracked under that pressure, but Gene the Machine rallied back with remarkable composure to win his only professional major. The victory was a masterclass in mental toughness. Combined with his 1953 U.S. Amateur title, this put him in an elite group who won both events. Very few players have achieved this double. He had 20 top 10 finishes at major championships, showing incredible consistency at golf's biggest events. But he also faced heartbreak that would have broken lesser players. He lost playoffs at the 1970 Masters and 1977 PGA Championship. Each loss stung, but Gene kept fighting. That 1977 PGA was historic, the first sudden death major playoff. Lanny Wadkins beat him at Pebble Beach in a moment that golf fans still remember today. Then came 1972. Gene was 42 years old when doctors found something terrible. A malignant tumor was growing in the lymph glands under his left arm. Cancer. The word that strikes fear into everyone's heart. He needed surgery right away to save his life. They removed the tumor and the surrounding tissue in a complex operation. In 1972, cancer survival rates were much lower than today. Medical technology wasn't as advanced. Many people didn't make it back from this kind of surgery. The recovery process was brutal and uncertain. For a professional athlete whose career depended on physical strength, this was devastating news. But Gene Littler wasn't most people. His return to competitive golf proved his incredible mental strength and determination. The road back was long and difficult. In 1973, he won the St. Louis Children's Hospital Open. This victory meant more to him than even his U.S. Open win. The emotions were overwhelming. He said, "I was ecstatic after winning the Open, of course, but I was absolutely overcome by winning in St. Louis. I realized I was the only player who had ever come back from that kind of surgery. This wasn't just about golf anymore. It was about proving that cancer couldn't defeat him. It was about hope for other patients fighting similar battles." His comeback wasn't just about surviving. Gene thrived after cancer. He won 4 more titles after his recovery. In 1975, at age 45, he won 3 tournaments in 1 year. That's incredible for any golfer, let alone one who beat cancer. His final PGA Tour win came at the 1977 Houston Open. Gene also served his country on the golf course with pride. He played on 6 Ryder Cup teams for the United States. All 6 teams won, making him part of an incredible winning streak. His record was 14-5-8, showing he performed when it mattered most. Playing for your country brings different pressure than regular tournaments. Gene thrived in that environment. In 1973, the U.S. Golf Association gave him the Bob Jones Award. This is their highest honor for sportsmanship in golf. The timing was perfect, coming right after his cancer comeback. In 1990, he was inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame, cementing his place among the sport's legends. These honors recognized not just his playing ability, but his character as a person. Yet despite all these achievements, Gene remained humble throughout his life. His son Kurt shared a story about his father's amazing sense of humor and down-to-earth nature. In his later years, when people asked if he was Gene Littler, he would smile and say, "I used to be." That shows the kind of man he was, successful but never boastful. He could have easily played up his fame, but that wasn't his style. This humility made him even more beloved by those who knew him. Gene was described as a homebody who valued time with his family more than creation of a brand on the PGA Tour. In an era where many athletes focused on building their public image, Gene focused on being a good husband and father. He was married to his wife Shirley for 68 years, an incredible testament to their love and commitment. They had 2 children, son Kurt and daughter Suzanne. While Gene the Machine dominated on the course, at home he was a devoted family man. This wasn't a persona or public relations strategy. It was who he really was. His family always came first, even when his career was at its peak. When Gene passed away on February 15, 2019 in San Diego, the cause of death wasn't announced publicly. His family kept it private. At 88, it was likely a peaceful passing due to his age. But the silence around his death felt wrong for someone with such an inspiring story. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan called Littler the consummate gentleman but also a fierce competitor. He praised Gene's swing, saying, "His rhythmic swing that earned him his distinctive nickname remains in our minds a thing of beauty." It was a pleasure to watch Gene Littler hit a golf ball. Monahan placed him alongside San Diego's other golf legends like Billy Casper, Phil Mickelson, and Mickey Wright. The tragedy isn't how Gene Littler died. The tragedy is how his death was barely noticed. Here was a man who beat cancer when survival odds were low. He came back to win tournaments at 45. He had one of the most beautiful swings in golf history. He represented America 6 times and never lost a Ryder Cup. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Yet when he passed, the world barely looked up. Major news outlets reported it a day later, almost as an afterthought. For a man who showed such quiet courage throughout his life, this felt like the ultimate insult. Gene Littler deserved better. His career spanned from the mid-1950s to late 1970s. He was a bridge between golf's older era and the modern game. He focused on pure swing technique rather than self-promotion. While other players built brands, Gene built a legacy through his clubs and his character. Gene's story teaches us that the greatest athletes aren't always the loudest ones. Sometimes the most inspiring stories come from the quietest people. His battle with cancer and triumphant return should be required reading for anyone facing adversity. His 68-year marriage shows what real commitment looks like. His humble nature in victory and defeat shows true sportsmanship. The lie isn't that anyone deceived us about Gene Littler. The lie is that we let ourselves forget him. We let his quiet dignity get overshadowed by flashier personalities. We let one of golf's most inspiring comeback stories fade into history books. Gene Littler proved that you don't need to be the loudest person in the room to be the most important. His machine-like precision came from discipline, not arrogance. His comeback from cancer came from inner strength, not publicity stunts. His long marriage and devoted family life came from genuine love, not image management. Today, we remember Gene Littler not just for his 29 PGA Tour wins or his 1961 U.S. Open victory. We remember him for showing us that true champions are measured by how they handle both success and adversity. Gene handled both with grace. The most tragic thing about Gene Littler's death wasn't when or how he died. It was that the world forgot to celebrate him while he was alive. But his story lives on. Every time someone faces long odds and keeps fighting, that's Gene Littler's spirit. Every time someone wins with humility, that's his legacy.